1 month. That's how long it's been since the United States men's national team walked off the pitch in Seattle after a 4-1 loss to Belgium, ended their World Cup run in the round of 16. 1 month since the home tournament dream died. 1 month since the questions started piling up about what comes next. Well, U.S. Soccer just answered that question. On August 4th, they announced a 4-game fall friendly window that marks the official return to action for the USMNT, and it's a lineup that tells you everything you need to know about where this program's head is at moving forward. September 26th against Peru in Orlando. September 29th against Chile in St. Louis. Then October 3rd against Mexico in Glendale, Arizona at State Farm Stadium, 10 p.m. Eastern kick. And October 6th against Canada in St. Paul, Minnesota at Allianz Field, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 local. Tickets for that Canada game go on sale to the general public today, August 7th at 10 a.m. Central Time. And if you're wondering why U.S. Soccer is rolling out these friendlies with this kind of urgency, with this kind of matchup quality, it's because these aren't just friendly matches. This is the beginning of the Mauricio Pochettino era's next chapter. Just yesterday, August 3rd, Pochettino signed a new contract extension through 2030. That's 4 more years. That takes him through the next World Cup cycle and beyond. So these September and October games aren't about experimentation or giving fringe players a look. They're about establishing an identity, setting a standard, and proving that the summer heartbreak was a learning moment, not a referendum on this program's trajectory. Let's talk about what makes this window so significant. First, the opponents. Peru and Chile are solid South American sides that'll provide a legitimate test without the emotional baggage of CONCACAF rivalry politics. They're the kind of opponents that let you focus on tactical execution, on getting your system right, on building chemistry without the added pressure of regional supremacy narratives. But then you get to games 3 and 4, and that's where this window shifts into a different gear entirely. Mexico and Canada, 2 CONCACAF powers, 2 teams that represent everything the United States is measuring itself against in this region, 2 teams that the USMNT did not face during the World Cup tournament itself. Canada advanced to the round of 16 before losing to Morocco. Mexico made it to the same stage before falling 3-2 to England. Neither team crossed paths with the United States during the tournament, which means these October matchups carry a different kind of weight. They're not rematches. They're not revenge games. They're measuring sticks. The all-time record against Canada stands at 17 wins, 12 losses, 13 draws for the United States. That's a historical edge, but recent years have shown that Canadian soccer is trending upward fast. Their World Cup performance this summer reinforced that. They're not a pushover anymore. They're a program with talent, with structure, with ambition. And Mexico, that rivalry doesn't need explanation. Every time these 2 teams meet, it's about more than 3 points or a trophy. It's about regional dominance. It's about proving you belong at the top of CONCACAF. It's about sending a message. Scheduling these 2 games as the final acts of this 4-match window is a deliberate choice. It's U.S. Soccer saying, we're not easing back into international play. We're not treating September and October like a preseason warm-up. We're jumping straight into the fire. And we're doing it against opponents that'll expose every weakness, every gap, every unresolved issue from the World Cup. Now let's talk about the venues, because geography matters here. The Mexico game is in Glendale, Arizona, State Farm Stadium. That's a venue that's hosted massive soccer events before. It's a stadium that can handle the atmosphere, the crowd size, the intensity that comes with USA-Mexico. And it's in the Southwest, which means you're going to have a significant portion of the crowd supporting El Tri. That's intentional. Pochettino isn't looking for a comfortable home field advantage here. He's looking for his team to prove they can handle a hostile environment, the kind they'll face in qualifying, in tournaments, in moments that matter. The Canada game is in St. Paul at Allianz Field. That's Minnesota United's home stadium, a smaller, more intimate venue compared to State Farm Stadium. It seats about 20,000, which means the atmosphere is going to be tight, loud, concentrated. And given the ticket sale timing, with general public sales opening today, you can bet that U.S. Soccer is expecting this one to sell out fast. It's a rivalry game. It's the final match of the window. It's the last chance for fans to see the USMNT before the calendar flips deeper into fall. All four games will air on TNT, True TV, HBO Max, Telemundo, Universo, and Peacock. That's maximum distribution. That's U.S. Soccer, making sure every eyeball that wants to watch these games can find them. And it's a reminder that even in a post-World Cup hangover period, the appetite for USMNT content is still massive. So what should we expect tactically from Pochettino in this window? The World Cup exit to Belgium exposed some clear issues. Defensive transitions, midfield creativity under pressure, the ability to break down a disciplined, organized opponent. These four friendlies are Pochettino's first opportunity to address those issues in a controlled environment, to test solutions, to see which players have responded to the summer's disappointment and which ones are still carrying the weight of it. The roster hasn't been announced yet, but you have to imagine Pochettino is going to call in a mix of established veterans and younger players pushing for spots. This is the start of a four-year cycle. The 2030 World Cup is the next target. That means some of the players who will be in their prime for that tournament are probably in their early 20s right now, and this fall window is their chance to start staking a claim. But here's the thing. Pochettino can't afford to treat these games like pure experimentation either. The Mexico and Canada matches especially carry too much weight. Lose both of those, and suddenly the narrative shifts from measured rebuild to crisis mode. The pressure's real, even in friendlies, because CONCACAF rivals don't do friendly. Every result is a statement. Every performance is a referendum. The Peru game on September 26th gives Pochettino 3 weeks and change to prepare. That's enough time to run a proper camp, to install ideas, to get players on the same page. Orlando's a solid, neutral site location for a match like this. It's central, it's got the infrastructure, and it's a market where U.S. Soccer has drawn well before. 3 days later, Chile in St. Louis. That quick turnaround is intentional. Tournament soccer doesn't give you weeks between matches. Qualifying doesn't give you weeks between matches. Pochettino is simulating that compressed schedule, forcing his team to recover, refocus, and execute again within 72 hours. Then you get 4 days before Mexico, and 3 more days before Canada. That's a grind. That's a test of depth, of fitness, of mental resilience. And it's exactly the kind of gauntlet that'll tell Pochettino what he's really working with as he builds toward 2030. The timing of all this matters, too. September and October sit right in the middle of the European club season. MLS is still running. Liga MX is in full swing. Pochettino's going to have to navigate club versus country politics, manage player fitness, and hope that the big European-based stars are released without issue. It's a challenge every international coach faces, but it's amplified when you're trying to set a new tone after a disappointing tournament exit. 1 month since Seattle. 1 month since the Belgium loss that ended the World Cup dream on home soil. And now less than 2 months until the USMNT is back on the field, back in front of fans, back under the spotlight. This 4-game window isn't just about getting back to work. It's about proving that July 6th was a setback, not a ceiling. It's about showing that Pochettino's project is still on track. It's about reminding CONCACAF that the United States isn't going anywhere. Tickets for Canada go on sale today. The countdown to September 26th starts now. And for the first time since the World Cup Heartbreak, we're about to see what this team really looks like when the lights come back on.